I am shedding my skin, which so far has served to keep me safe, but now locks me in. This form no longer serves a purpose. It limits my movement and clouds my vision, binding me to an old me who thought once that she knew everything and now knows that she knows nothing. If I'm honest, I didn't love her to begin with. She was beautiful, she was funny, clever, kind, and generous, except she never gave any of that to herself. In fact, she didn't even know she was any of these things. Instead, she chose to adorn her shell with symbols and trinkets, outward expressions of who she wanted to be. She sought out others who did the same and showed her what she wanted to see. All the while, she was blind, deaf to the sound of her own voice, ignorant of her needs, sacrificing her soul to save the soul of others so she didn't have to save her own. What dead skin is this that I have been clinging on to? Why do I reject the rainbow that awaits beneath the wounds? I guess I thought I was those wounds and never knew that one day my scar tissue would reveal the light of 1,000 full moons, beaming from those cuts and bruises that I once celebrated as signs of resilience. But one glance at my brilliance has shifted my focus from the stars outside to the galaxy within. I want to begin again. I am willing to embrace the pain of sharp truths, cutting away at this skin, breaking me in like a new tooth. I want to feel it crease and peel back. I want to see it torn away. I want to shed that girl that said she would do anything to make them happy, at the risk of her own demise. I no longer wish to gaze at life through those eyes. Fuck that. Let that skip rip and crack and die, and once it's all done, I will burn it whilst dancing naked around a fire, my new skin shimmering against the flame. I will fall in love again, but this time it will be with me. Because not only do I now know myself to be funny, kind, generous, and clever, I now know that I am the embodiment of heaven. I am peace, I am truth, I am dark, I am light, I am day, I am night, I am wrong, and I am right. I am the song and the sonnet. I am life and I am death. I am the first and the last breath. I am legend and a legacy, and greatness lies ahead. I am not the skin I've shed. I am not the skin I've shed. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That is snakeskin, and I'm sure we can all relate to that shit, right? Like all of us know what it's like to put on this performance. Do you know what I mean? And then suddenly sit back and be like, actually, no, like that's not me. Why am I doing this shit? Why am I still doing this shit? you know? so um so that's snakeskin. Um in light of and in celebration of the charity for which we're working for today, being Sister Space, the only domestic violence charity that focuses on black and brown women's well-being, you know, women going through domestic violence. I'm going to share a poem that I wrote called Still Strange Fruit. And Still Strange Fruit is a nod to a song called Strange Fruit. We all know the one by Nina Simone. It's Nina Simone, right? And this poem talks about strange fruit as if we were the strange fruit, as if we were the bodies still swinging off the trees that she sings about. And though slavery, as it was known then, is believed not to exist anymore, I still believe and know that women still occupy spaces of enslavement. So I'm going to read this poem for those women. I've been that woman. One in three of us will be that woman. So I'm going to read this. To you, I am of no worth. I am invisible. My pain only recognized when it profits others to do so. My tears only seen by those who cry too. I am the rock and the hard place. Leaned on, relied upon, built upon. I am a shelter to lost souls. I feed bellies and mend clothes. I wipe eyes and dry noses. I mother children and grown-assed men. I give my everything to them. But they do not protect me from themselves. They too are a threat. They too strip me of my colors. I dare not to dream or to have ambition. The world has taught me that there is no room in it for women. We are but stops in a man's journey, just carriers, vessels, slaves to be used and disposed of, left to deal with the fallout when the romance dies. When the baby has left us with unrecognizable bodies, we've gone from being women to being mothers, not allowed to be anything more, kept in check by other women who insist that we were a person, and we insist that we were a person once. They insist we carry the extra load without complaint. Refrain from talking about how our backs ache from the weight of their expectations. Don't mention anything that might change people's perceptions of the man they love. We protect them, their egos, their jobs, their money, their children, their pride, whilst burying what little is left of ourselves for peace's sake. Because our greatness as women intimidates, and the game men play along to requires us to be submissive. They can only be tall when they are stood on our backs, so we bend over, hair and bodies covered, gaze fixed to the floor, lips that never part to speak. We stay silent and compliant because when we speak, we invite death, and when we act, we are suppressed. Our voices, our dress, our very expression, we mute and police for our own protection. From men who take our bodies like the slave master did, from relationships that resemble ownership, from the new master's whip, domestic abuse, from being disposed of once we're no longer of use. You have stood on our backs for longer than time can remember. We have been your footstool, bearing your children whilst bearing your weight. Yet you ask us to wait when we move to get up. You ask us to wait when we have had enough, demanding that we recognize our pain as the same as yours, insisting that our struggles are the same, then protesting against us when we protest for our freedoms. You have become our enemy. You have become our obstacle. You have become the gatekeeper of our bodies. You decide whether we live or die. Our lives constantly hang in the balance. We never stop being strange fruit. Yeah. That one's always really hard to perform because I wrote that when I was feeling particularly oppressed, particularly heavy, and had decided to stay in a relationship that wasn't good for me, you know. So again, the escape is poetry, right? So I'm going to move on now to another poem, which is the one that was celebrated by Osman Yusuf Sada, and the one that was recently published in the Wild Apothecary, which I would like to celebrate. It's important that we celebrate our achievements. So I'm going to perform this poem in honor of myself, and it's called Here to Stay. Okay. Look at me, get used to my face, my thick and slender frames, my weird and wild ways. Observe the many ways I display my femininity and get used to what you see. Listen to what I have to say, because whether you like it or not, I am here to stay. My bindis, locks, and traditional frocks mean more than just a fashion statement, more than appropriated symbols of identity. They are more than part-time adornments of the privileged. They survived because I did. As you have a history of theft, taking from us, putting us on ships, shackling our hearts and minds, enslaving us for profit, except I am free. It makes me smile to see that in your ignorance, in the wearing of my culture, my heritage, my colors and symbols, my gifts and my curses, you are celebrating me. So copy, reinvent, and try to obliterate who I am. But the truth is, and will always be, that I am here to stay. I have survived your famine and now fill my belly with love. I have survived your wars and replaced them with my peace. I have survived your poverty and I am rich in spirit. I have survived your technologies and transform your weapons from the gun into the sword, into the pen with which I write these words, with which I will change the world. Because I was taught that you were better than me, that God is white, that God is male, that this God was chosen to rule over us. Except I was born of a woman. I grew in the womb, was nurtured by breast, and it was she that took my first breath. See, I am more than Kipling's white man's burden. I am more than the sum of my ancestors' labor. I am my language, I am my struggle, I am the glory of my heritage. Despite the crimes of colonialism, capitalism, and its father, neoliberalism, I am still the perfume of Arabia. I am still the silk of the silk root. I am the comfort of cotton. I am the coal black that lines the eyes of the beautiful. I am the strength in the tin pots that you mock. I am the pride of your Britain because I built this place. And now you protect your statues, your histories, yet these are my histories of how I got here, and here I will remain, occupying spaces that you said I had no right to be in. I will fight despite your insults. I will be that thug and looter you claim I am, and you will insist that I get back to where you once belonged. But I am here to stay. I am here to stay. See my face, remember my name, because I have and always will be here to stay.